Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start. I will be saving this video anyways, and I'm gonna post it on my YouTube channel regardless. So I want to start off by saying my name is Cynthia. You guys already know. I'm gonna be talking about my testimony, and I want to start off with the verse. It's found in Jeremiah 29:11, and that says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you hope and future." So with that verse, God has been speaking to me throughout my whole journey that I've been walking with Him. So this is my testimony, and I hope my testimony could be a blessing in your life, or share with anybody that is going through something, whether they're going through something financially or whatever it is, whatever the struggle is, marriage, abusive, anything. So I want to begin by saying my testimony is based on waiting on the Father for His blessings and my marriage. I am currently getting divorced. For those that know me, I already know this already. But so my walk with God started in 2014. I got baptized in 2017. Actually, my husband's birthday, I got baptized. So this is all new to me, guys. Sorry. So I want to start off by saying that God has been so good to me. He has opened my eyes in a different level. He has allowed me to stay committed to Him, continue to trust in His plans, because sometimes us as humans, we tend to make our own plans and not ask God, right? Not ask God. And sometimes we make the right choices. So my testimony is based on my marriage. I'm currently getting divorced. My husband cheated on me multiple times. And I forgave him a couple times, a lot of times. I forgave him, but I felt like God has molded me in so many ways. In this time of the year around, I'm so strong to finally speak my testimony, my story, and to let all those women out there that are getting, married, or that are going through something really tough in their marriage, because we are living in really, really bad timings right now, that it's okay to fail, that it's okay if your marriage is not good, if you start seeing red flags, if your husband is very violent, or if he's being manipulative, do not stay in that relationship. It's okay to move. It's okay to move away from it. It's okay that if you already gave him a couple times opportunities, or maybe even a second chance, third chance, he's gonna be doing it all over again. So why prolong it? Why be there and prolong it until finally you're gonna wake up one day, like it happened to me, 6 years with my marriage. Well, 5 years married and 1 year, boyfriend and girlfriend, but I was with him for 6 years. And it took me 6 years to realize that he wasn't never going to change. That I stood with him by his side, forgiving him over and over and over. For what? Right? For what? For him just to leave again? So I thank God, because this allowed me to be a little bit more wiser, and to really know what I really want moving forward, eventually when I meet that right husband that God has planned for me. And I'm allowing God to kind of like, okay, just, you're going through something, but I'm going to heal. I'm not going to jump just to another relationship when I need time to heal, when I need to find myself, and it's okay to fail. God expects you to fail, but just get right back up. That's all you have to do, right? So I met my husband in 2014. We hit it off pretty fast. We were, we met online. There was a little dating thing that I started doing when I was 24, and I met him there, and we started dating. We started going out. Things were good. He did introduce me to the Christianity faith, which I turned, Christians after that. And I started seeing a little bit red flags after that. He was very, very controlling. But I had already prayed to God that I wanted to work it out with my husband. I wanted to work it out with him. Well, he wasn't my husband yet, but I wanted to give him a try. He looked like a decent guy. He had really good plans, and we kind of had that we met our our how do you call it, like, we had a lot of things in common, basically. So when we started going out, things were great. We were a year together. Obviously, we broke up within that year. And after that, I found out he was talking to one of his exes, and it was my fault. I shouldn't have allowed him to come back, but I did it anyway because, again, I started, talking to God and kind of like, is it him? And you really have to pay attention to the voice, if it's really God or if it's the devil, because, again, the devil could confuse you. So I started having faith in him, and I gave him a chance. I forgave him after he had, committed that cheating. The reason why I forgave him was because, okay, we're boyfriend and girlfriend. We're going to get married, because we were already going to get married by that time. And he came back and he did what he did, and okay, whatever, I forgive you. And we got married in Vegas. Everything was good. We moved to my parents' house for like a month, and we had like a little thing with my dad. We moved out. We had our own little garage in the back, and we lived there for like 2 years, almost 2 years. So back in 2016, I remember his ex had sent me a message and sent me screenshots of them talking, and that she supposedly was pregnant of him, but that was just a lie. And then I found out he had an Instagram, because by then I wanted all social media out because I wanted to work on my marriage, So at that time, I gave him, the chance to make things, and he did. But then after that, he just started making excuses after excuses. It was always money about him. It was always money, and nothing was good enough for him. For him, it was, oh no, you can't clean. Oh no, you can't cook. Oh no, this. When I always had the house clean, I always cooked. I like to cook. I like to bake. Like, all my family, even my friends that know me, you guys already know that I love to cook. And my coworkers, they love it. I take them lunch. So it was like, it didn't match what things he was saying. So he always had an anger problem. He was abused as a child, and his dad was a manipulator, and he went through a lot. And I wanted to be there for him, because I'm like, if I got married with this guy and I accepted him like that, then to death do us apart, right? And I was doing my part, as always. I was not perfect, I had my flaws, but it was nothing that was not fixable, and with him, it was always something was manipulative and trying to control every situation. So at that point, I was like, okay, my family kind of saw it. My sister saw it. Hey, he's trying to control you. You're not the same. You're always on a run, or trying to go home and cook. And so that was me every day. The people that know me, you guys already know. And back in 2016, he left me for like 3 days. Then he came back, and after that, I didn't have a job at that time, because I had gotten laid off because the company got bought off and whatever. But I was receiving unemployment, so I was getting some type of income. And at the same time, I was, cooking, trying to wash his clothes or do the wife duties. And every time he would get home, I always had a meal. And sometimes he would get home like in a bad mood, and he would spit the food, or he'll say, what is this? Or, stuff like that. And I'll be like, what's going on? Like, he's liked this food before. Or he would always say, I could cook better than you, stuff like that. And I was like, okay, whatever. So one thing led to another, that he just decided to leave again. He left me for two weeks. We were living in the back in the garage in Compton, and he left me with with an air mattress. He took his mattress to his mom's house. I couldn't believe it. I got home and he took his mattress. Where was I gonna sleep? Like, you seriously took your mattress? Like, you knew I had to give up my bed because in my bed we didn't fit. It was a full size bed, and he didn't like it, so he wanted his bed, and it was a queen. And I was like, okay, I compromised, you know. So, he took his bed, and I had to sleep in the floor until my dad brought me a air mattress that we had, and it was hard to see that. Now that I remember, you know, it's really hard to kind of go back in time and picture that moment. Like, I never thought I would go through, you know. But God always made a way. And I remember my dad told me how to sellar the little holes that the what's that called, the air mattress had. So I learned all this. I learned how to do all that, and I was like, okay, I have an air mattress, but in the middle of the night, it would, like, the air will go out, you know, and it was really, really cold, especially living in the back. It was really cold because it was during, like, late October, hitting November, so it was really cold. And then in that where we lived, it was like, it didn't have insulation, so it was super cold in there. So sometimes I would wake up, and then like in the middle of in the night, and then it would be just flat, like the bed would be just flat, and I'll be like, oh my God, I have to do this again. So I would turn on the thing, and I would put air on it. So I did that for 2 weeks, and I was like, wow, Lord, like, you helped me, you know. He came back eventually. I forgave him. Then after that, I prayed to God that, you know what, give me an apartment. And he did. He gave me a really, really nice apartment in Southgate, and it was a really nice area around in the city of Southgate. It was like in front of the park. So if you guys know, you guys are from Southgate, you guys know that area is kind of decent, you know. It's nice. And yeah, it was a really nice apartment. We moved in there. Again, everything was good. Then in December, even by like the New Year's Eve, he decided to leave with somebody, and I was calling him and nothing. And apparently he went to go have a coffee with some girl. This was like a friend girl, whatever. But it wasn't fair for me because I'm like, hello, I'm your wife. Like, I was at his mom's house. They had something going on there. They had what was it called? They had like a family thing, and I went by myself. So everything was good, and then he started acting dumb again, and he left again for like a week. Then his mom always tried to help us, you know. I had a good relationship with her at the time, so she had always tried to, you know, be involved. And he left me again, and then he came back like always. And the day that he left me for a whole month, it was hard. That's when my journey began with God. That's when my journey was like, you know what, I need to get down on my knees, pray. And that's when God started talking to me like, hey, like, you need to commit to me. And I was serving the church at that time. I became a worship singer there. Sometimes I would sing songs and by myself, and it was beautiful because God gave me a voice, He gave me a gift, and why not use it for His glory, right? So I started worshiping. I started just concentrating Him. I paid the rent by myself. I don't know how I did that, but God helped me. And then I don't know where he came back, and he said he was gonna get help, that we were gonna, you know, we started seeing the pastor. We talked to the pastor multiple times, but he always went back to the same thing. And I always questioned that because it's like why always go back? And he has that problem of you know, that he can't get over his past. He can't get over his childhood. He can't heal himself from everything that he went through, right, as a child. And I always wanted to be there for him. I was always there for him. Sometimes people would tell me, like, you're too nice. Why are you still with him? You know, he cheated on you before. Like, he's talking to girls. Like, why are you still with him? And I'm like, because love is blind, you know. And so after that, you know, we went to Texas. We had gone to Texas in June again, which we already had gone in February, but the year was 2017. We went, no, I'm sorry, 2018. We went in 2018 February, and then we went in 2018 in June. We went again, and it was good because he had barely moved back in. Everything was good. We went to visit his brother. We had fun over there. Everybody liked me. I've always been a type of girl that you guys know me. I'm always so positive. I try to make everything the best as it can be. So once we did that, we came back, and his mom, and we liked Texas, so we wanted to move out there. And I was willing to leave my family, my friends, to move out with him. And I was willing to, to sacrifice everything, my job, because he could get a job anywhere. He's a barber. And me was like, okay, where am I going to work, And remember, there is a history where every time I wasn't working, he would act like that with me and he would leave me. So then I would be like, okay, well, so who do I depend on? If this is my husband and he leaves, like, I don't have family out there. So it was really hard for me to accept that. So finally, his parents wanted us to move with them, and we weren't gonna pay rent. They told us, you don't have to pay rent. I didn't want to because for those that maybe have lived with their suegras or mother-in-laws, you guys already know that it doesn't work. One way or another, you guys are always gonna end up an argument or something. So I gave up my apartment. We were there for like maybe 8 months. And I gave up everything. I had to sell my dining table. I had to sell my new fridge, everything, my new couches. All of that was in my credit, and I had to like sell it. So once I did that, we were fighting. He would get violent. He would throw things, like anything that he would see. He would throw it across the room when he would be mad. And at that point, I would just pray. I would just pray and be like, you know what, Lord, please save me. I just don't think I should be here and whatever. So after that, we moved to his mom's house. We were there for a couple months. After we moved there, after being there for 2 months, that's when everything went downhill. I found out on October 3rd, he filed for divorce in 2018, and I found out that he cheated on me, and he was going out with a girl, and he told me, he's like, there's another girl, like that, while I was going in the room. And I was like, I already knew it, because as women, we tend to know our instinct when they're cheating. It's a repetitive thing that they do. So at that point, I was already kind of like, I had that feeling already, so I kind of knew, and I just had that posture of strong, like, I already know. I didn't want to give in. I didn't want him to know that I was crying, that I was hurting inside, because I trusted God, and I knew that God was going to make a way. So that's when my really journey began. I started going to church every day. I started praying. The people from church helped me a lot. The people from the band, they really helped me. They reach out to me. They helped me go through it. They would invite me when they had their things going, like when they would go out to eat, they would invite me. And I was very blessed to have those people, and some of them I still have them in my life, and you guys know who you guys are. And it was really hard for me. And after that, when he cheated, he basically would, like, he would try to touch me. He would do a lot of things to humiliate me. Although he was cheating, he still wanted to say that I'm his wife. And it wasn't fair for me. So during that time, he would tell me, when are you leaving? When are you leaving? This is my mom's house. And I'm like, I need to find a place to live. It's really hard finding a place. Thank God I found my aunt that I call. She's like my aunt to me. She was there she met me when I was 5 years old, and Maria, and she was so nice to me. She took me in her house, and I was renting a room, and to this day I still talk to her. Obviously, she's like my aunt. So I was blessed enough to have her in my life at that moment, to move in with her, and she gave me a room, And it was really, really difficult for me to kind of like tell her what I was going through. I was a little bit ashamed because, you know, my husband cheated. So it's not that easy to tell someone that, hey, your husband cheated. You know, it's hard. It's a hard thing to go through. It's a really hard thing to go through. So when I did that, and I told her, she took me in, and after that, he looked for me after. We tend to go back and forth. He started like lying to me that he was working, and then he was still going with that girl. He had never broken up with her. So it was always a whole back and forth thing, you know. And then he said that he was going to go back to her because she was pregnant, which was a lie. And my suegra at that time, she was always there for me too. She would always like tell him like, hey, you're doing things wrong. You know, how could you be cheating? Then you're going back to her. She's your wife, you know, type of thing. And we were doing the whole back and forth thing. And at the time I was praying because I wanted my marriage to work. And I was willing to to forgive him that he cheated on me, you know, that he committed adultery. And I felt like God was telling me, it's okay, you know, I'm going to bring back your husband. At that time, I felt like it. So he did that. After that, to make the long story short, we went out, you know, we did the whole back and forth thing for like maybe 2-3 months. Until finally one of the girls called me in Texas, and she said that they were talking, that they were gonna meet up, and she was like, you know what, you're still his wife. I don't think that's fair for you. I'm gonna stop talking to him. So she was really nice to confront me, but in a good, respectful way, and she understood. So that I give her, you know, I applaud her. But there was this other girl as well that she messaged me, and she sent me all the messages and the screenshots that he was like, I love you. And it was horrible for me to see that. And even then I was so dumb to not have that as a take it a sign as God was telling me, hey, look what he's doing. He's still cheating, you know, and you're about to get back with him. And at the time he was going to stop the divorce because he had called me that God spoke to him and I don't know what. And he's told me that he wanted to work things out, and that to give him a chance, he got in his knees and he said, you're not going to regret it. I'm going to be a good man. Those women don't matter no more, you know. And I took a leap of faith because, again, I was praying for my marriage. And I forgave him, you know, even though God, in a way, sent me that sign. But I thought that it was probably the devil sending me the sign, like, oh no, look, like he's still cheating, you know, or he cheated on you, like, again, you know, with all these women. And it was really hard to see that picture of them just, you know, in the hotel, like, wow, like that's my husband. I felt like, wow, like really, like you're dirty, you're so dirty like that. But even then I still I still maintain myself, like, you know what, I'm gonna give him a chance. I'm gonna give God a chance that he's gonna fix his marriage. And when he fixes it, it's gonna be good, because it's gonna be so like, wow, God did that. He saved your marriage. And I watched so many videos where people were going through similar situation as me, and their marriage worked. God did restore their marriage. But I had to understand that it's up to him that he wants to change. It's up to you. If you really want to change, if you really want God to use you, then you really need to let go and let yourself get healed. And in his case, he didn't want to get healed. He didn't want it. He just thought he wanted it. He thought that okay, yes, I want it, but he didn't genuinely want it. Because remember, God knows your heart. God knows your heart. He knows what you're going through. He knows what you're thinking. He knows your future. And I had to understand that God had a plan for me. And if I had to go through this in order to get to where I'm at now, that I became more wiser, and that God is going to bless me, and at the end, he's still going to do and give me that right husband for me, I'll go ahead and do it again. Because remember, we're in this world temporary. And if Jesus went through a lot of things to the point to die on the cross for us, this is nothing compared this is nothing, but it is hurtful. Obviously, it's hurtful as a woman, as a daughter of God, you know, and to trust His timing is it's so hard to trust on God when you don't see it happening. You know, when you see all the odds against you, but that's when you take a leap of faith because you know that God is gonna make a way. So after that, you know, I give him a chance. He stopped the divorce, so we went back again to his mom's house. Like, he took me back to his mom's house, and it was so many back and forth moving. I was so tired of moving. And then we were there for like maybe 2 months, and then again his mom started acting weird with us. You know, she wanted the house clean. I don't know, she was just going through a phase, I guess. I don't know, but I always got along with her. Like, we were like, people thought at church she was my mom, you know. That's how good we were. But I feel like part of it was her fault as well, because she allowed her son to always go back and forth with her. If she would have put a stop since the beginning, like, hey, you know what, this is the last time that you're coming to me, then he probably would have like man up a little bit and say, hey, you know what, my mom, like, she's not taking me back, so I have to get it together. So in that sense, he would probably need more help, you know. We had already done the therapy. It didn't work. I mean, it worked for that day, but again, he didn't want to accept it. And the therapist did tell him, hey, you need to come back. You need to heal. You need to heal from all that abusiveness that you went through with your dad. You need to heal. But again, it's him wanting to get healed, you know. So at that time, we moved out finally. I wanted an apartment. I'm like, you know what? We can't live like this. Like, we need an apartment. So we moved to La Habra. We moved to La Habra because, again, it was always because of him. So he was a barber. So he worked literally right next door where the apartments where I am at now. I currently still live here. And it was kind of, it is pricey to live in La Habra. But obviously at the time, I wasn't working at the LA Times anymore. So I had gotten another job by the Citadel, and it was kind of like, it wasn't that far from La Habra, so it was kind of perfect, you know. I was like, all right, it doesn't matter to me, I commute anyways, so I'm willing to move, you know. That way you could work, you know, from next door, and you don't have to drive, you know. So I sacrificed that too, and we did it for 8 months, because we moved last year in November. And when the whole COVID started, which like in March, well, in February we signed up a lease to open up his own barbershop. Well, it was going to be for both of us, obviously, but he did his barbershop, and I helped him get it. Obviously, we both had our names in there, and I try to help him as much as I can. Before that, I had gotten an knee injury. I had fell here in the apartment complex. I had like a minor meniscus tear, so I couldn't walk that properly. And even then, I was trying to help him clean the walls, because we're gonna paint them. So I was helping him with the walls and everything. And even after that, like, he said that, oh, you only help me with the walls. What is that? That's nothing. You know, he would like just humiliate me, like make me feel like I'm nothing. Like, then he started calling me fat, that I had gained weight. Yeah, I had gained weight a little bit because of my knee, you know. I had gained a little bit of weight. I couldn't do a lot with my knee. I couldn't cook as much. So we started eating outside. And then because of the whole business, we were always in the business. So I took out 2 TVs for him. And even with my messed up knee, like, I went to go get the TVs. Obviously, they helped me get it in the truck. But I did all that, like the whole going over there, then getting the pizzas, and getting this and getting that, or go to the store. And it was a lot for my knee too, because I needed some rest, right? But I didn't care, because we were opening up our business. So when the whole COVID started, he started with his attitude again. He started saying that I was hiding money, that you know, that I just didn't want to help him, that I don't help him for nothing, that I didn't know how to cook, that I don't know how to clean, that I don't know. Basically just humiliating me, that I was fat, that look at you, you're gaining weight, and I don't see you the same, blah 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 blah. And then I don't know where he's like, oh, and I want a divorce. And I was like, I told him, the moment that you begged me last time to give you another chance and that I was never gonna regret it, you know, he just told me that out of nowhere. And I'm sorry, before that, on January, his dad had passed away. And before the whole shop that we opened, his dad had passed away in January, and we went. The day that his dad passed away, it was hard for him because he hadn't seen him for like 16 years, and he never had a good relationship with him. Like, again, he was abusive. His dad was abusive. His dad was very mean. He didn't like none of his family, nothing. He was alone over there in Mexico, and his sister tells us that he had passed away, which we already knew, that he was really sick. And so we wanted to go, you know, well, he wanted to go. And at the time, it was like at 4 a.m, so I had to go to work, obviously. And I had messaged my boss, hey, you know what, my husband's dad passed away. I might be late, or I don't know what's going to happen. And he's like, no, take your time. You know, that's your husband. And I had days, you know, sick days. So I could request days if I wanted to. But I don't know what got into him. He started getting violent with me. Like, he started getting, oh, no, like, and he started doing this. And I'm like, it's okay, I'm here for you, you know? I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Like, do you need me to take you to TJ? I'll go take you to TJ. No, you need to go to work. This is why they always fire you, or you lose your jobs, or they could fire you, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, relax. Like, I have days, you know. I can take them off. Like, I can ask them. I already messaged my manager, no, you always do this, all for your convenience. And I'm like, I'm trying to be there for you. So if I wouldn't have, if it was the other way around, he would have acted, you know, mean with me because I didn't want to go. So he always had that attitude where he was very like negative, or he was very like sinner minded. I don't know, he was always controlling. So he wanted to control the situation. So I said, you know what, fine, then I'll go to work. But I'm gonna be late anyways, you know, let me just take you to TJ and you can go. So I don't know what happened to him, and he looked at me and he spit at my face. He spit at my face. I had never witnessed or even, like, you know, had someone spit at your face, you know, like if you're a dog, you know. And I'm sorry, the only reason why I didn't say nothing was because his dad passed away, you know. His dad had passed away, so I was trying to be there for him, you know. I was trying to be there for him, and he still spits at my face. It's like, really, I'm your wife. Like, I'm trying to be there for you, you know. And he did that, and I was so like, wow, like I couldn't even see because the spit was so bad. It landed literally on my face, like coming down, you know, towards all the way down. And I go to the restroom, and I'm like, really? You just did that? And I go to the restroom, and I had called my friend Alexis at the time, and she's like, what's going on? You know, she would always try to tell me, like, it's okay, just pray about it, you know. Maybe, but she was like, what is wrong with him, you know? Why did he spit at your face, you know? Who does that? And I'm like, maybe he's just going through something. The whole time that I was with him, he had never spit at me, you know. And I was very shocked that he did. So when he spit at my face, I was just like, okay. After that, he finally like got it together, and he apologized to me, you know, like, I'm sorry, you know, I love you, I'm sorry, I don't know why I did that, it's just my dad. Like, always, he always had an excuse. So I was like, it's okay, you know, it's okay. You know, for me, it's always like God sees everything, you know. So I forgave him, and I said, that's fine, you know. He goes, no, he goes, I really want you to go with me. So just go with me. Like, I want you to be there for me. I'm just really, it's really hard, you know, for me right now. So I haven't seen my dad, and I'm like, okay, I want to be there for you. So we went to Zacatecas, and there was no flights, so he was going crazy because there was no flights and blah blah whatever. So bottom line, we went and we had to go to Aguascalientes, and then from Aguascalientes they picked us up and we drove all the way to Zacatecas, and we got there and everything was, he was already like, he was kind of calm already. And then we came back and he was still kind of like devastated with his dad. And after that, like that's when we did the whole business, you know. We did the business, we opened up the barbershop, and I was helping him get through it and everything. But that's when the COVID hit, right? So when the COVID hit, he was like, oh no, like that's it, you know. Instead of being positive, like, you know what, we're gonna get through it together, because it's not like we're the only ones going through it, you know. It was a global thing, like everyone was in it, you know. There was people that lost their jobs, and I was very blessed to this day that I still maintain my job. And he was cutting hair, you know. He may not have been able to open how he wanted it, but God had other plans. You know, sometimes it works. This is why you always have to have a backup plan. And I've always been like that. Like, you know what, babe, it's okay. We're gonna fix it. You know, I'm still working. Thank God. And we have to eat, you know, little things here and there. We have to, you know, eat whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, I'll make it work. And with my messed up knee, like, I'll help you whatever I can. You know, he's like, no. And then obviously after that, he started being so negative, like, no, it's not gonna work, you can't even do nothing. And that's when he started telling me the things that I said previous, like, you know, it's, you're fat, I don't even feel the same with you, blah 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 blah. He just went on and went on, right? After that, I started noticing his little reaction. He started doing house calls. He wouldn't get home until like 11:30 at night. I'm like, really? There's a house call that late? And he will always be manipulative. So I started noticing he's cheating. I really knew it. Like, I knew it. Like, my heart told me he was cheating. I didn't have the proof at that time. But one time when his sister came over, she had mentioned something that I'm like, what? He had picked up a fridge at his mom's house, a new house that she has in Long Beach. And apparently one of his clients went and took him. And this girl, I known of her because I had seen her at the shop, you know, in there and stuff. And she knew he was married, you know, she knew. I confront her, I send her a message, and I'm like, are you talking to my husband? Because there's a history behind him cheating, and honestly, I don't want drama. I'm not a drama girl, and if you're with him, you can go ahead. Basically, like, if she was to confirm, yes, I'm with him, I was like, all right, you know, you can have him. I just let my husband go. So I kind of, like, my instinct never fails. So I messaged her, and she said, no, he's just my barber, blah, 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 whatever. But my cuñada at the time, she told me, like, hey, you know what? Like, no, he went with that girl. And I was like, was it this girl? And that's when I said, and she's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, yeah, he's cheating, you know? I confronted him. That same day, he didn't come home. He's like, I'm leaving. I'm done with you. You keep bringing, you know, things up, and you keep bringing blah, 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 you know, cussing and cussing. And he went with his mom again. He went with his mom for like 4 or 5 days, and I called her and I told her, you know what, if you keep allowing your son to be there, he's gonna be doing the same thing, you know? And I know, I get it. Like, he's like, it's because my son, I'd rather him be here than to be with other guys. I'm like, he still does the things you don't want him to do. He still cheats. He still does drugs, you know. I know before he used to do coke, and now apparently he still does it, you know. Apparently he wants to sell, I don't know, but has always been his problem, that he always has coke with him. Even when he says he stops, like, then after that I find out that he was using it. So at that point, you know, I didn't even know. I kind of had a feeling he was doing it just based on his actions. So he was doing that, and then he didn't come home for 4 days. Then he told his mom to call me, that he's gonna come back and pay the rent, but he wanted to be roommates. So at that point, I'm like, you know what? The rent was really high. It is really high. And it was so unexpected that he left me. So I was like, you know what? I agreed to it. Like, all right, he could be my roommate. But he wouldn't sleep in the living room. He would still sleep with me. He would still try to grab me. He would still try to do this like a wife, like you're still my wife. And then in June, he decided to file for divorce. And I mean, I knew it, you know. They served me the paperwork, and he still wanted to live here, you know. He still wanted to live here. He still wanted to be in my bed here and there, you know. And like, if I'm still his wife, and he would say like, oh, you're still my wife. And I'll be like, you asked for the divorce. He goes, well, it's not finalized. And I'm like, so I could grab you. And I'm like, no, you can't. You can't grab me. You decided, and I know you're cheating. He goes, I'm not cheating. You with your shit. I'm sorry for my cussing, but he would say, you with this and that. I'm like, you're cheating. I know you're cheating. So after that, like, on July, day before my birthday, I came home, and I remember like, no, something's wrong. So one time I had followed him from where he was, from the shop. He would go somewhere, and one time I followed him, and he went through, like, literally like a couple streets down where the shop was. That's where the girl lived. And I'm like, wow, really? So then I confirmed it with a lot of people, that they would post, that he would be posting and she would be posting them together, but it wouldn't show him, all him, you know. It was just showing like his hands. But people knew him because he's a barber, you know. People knew, oh, that's Jose, that's him, you know. And people started saying like, oh my God, you're married to him, and look what he's doing, and blah blah blah. And I was just like, wow, like, really? Like, he's cheating again? So at that point, you know, I was talking to my friend Alexis, and she was always there for me too, and my other friend, and she's like, you know what, you need to do something about it, because this is a repetitive thing. And she had always told me like, you know what, whatever you decide, I'm here for you, and why not? But at that time, she's like, Cynthia, enough is enough. Like, you need to speak out. You need to do something about it, or he's just gonna manipulate you and treat you the way, I mean, remember, he had already spit on my face. And we were fighting one time too, and he spit on my face again, but this time was just like a spit, just like a, but even then it was horrible. And it was just crazy when I found that out. But before that, in April, before I forget, because my mind is like so many things that happened. It's like a whole novela. In April, when it was Easter, I was worshiping, I was singing. He gets home like around, I want to say 1, 2, 3. I'm not really sure exactly the time. And he's like, turn that shit off. And I was like, okay. So I turned it off. I was worshiping, you know, I wanted to worship God. Yeah, I turned it off, and he goes, don't talk to me right now. I'm in a bad mood, you know, this and this. I'm like, did you have a bad day at work? He goes, no, at the shop, it's not working out. You know, he was very stressed out because of the shop. Again, he couldn't open it how he wanted it because of COVID. And during that time, he got home, and I was like, I was so overwhelmed. I was up to here. So I started talking back to him. I'm like, you know what? That's it. I had enough of your shit. No. You're just like your dad. You're not going to change. You don't get over it. You need to heal. You need Jesus. You know, I was just going off, and he said, oh yeah, bitch, you're like my dad. You're like my dad. I'm going to show you how my dad was. I'm going to show you. You better effing call the cops right now, because I'm going to effing kill you. That's what I'm going to do. And he started doing this, and I was kind of scared, because I had never seen him like that, you know, to the point where he really wanted to hit me. Like, he really wanted to hit me. He's like, you better start calling the cops. So I get my phone, and he sees me, and he just goes straight to me, and he starts choking me. He starts choking me on top, and then I'm like, I didn't know what to do. He started choking me on top, and remember, I still have like my knee a little bit messed up at that time. And I had a coffee, so the coffee, he's just like slammed it across the hall. Like, he just slammed my iced coffee around, like literally everything fell. in the wall, and he just started choking me, and I couldn't move. So at the time that I was doing this, trying to get him off me, like I go like this, something like that, and he kind of like his hand kind of going like that, so it kind of hit me a little bit right here, and I had like a bruise right here. And I had taken a picture too, because I'm like, if anything happens, I have that proof, you know, that he did like hit me. Like I had like a little, like a little bruise a little bit. After that, like I was like, and then he looked at me and he went like literally he got all what he gets with his throat, and he just spits at me. But this time was worse than the first time. This time was just literally my eyes were filled with like spit and like that nastiness all the way down, and I couldn't even see. So he was trying to still like push me around, and I get up and I go towards the thing, and he's still like chasing me and saying, oh, you fuck bitch, I'm gonna get you, blah 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 blah. So I lock myself in the restroom and I start like wiping. That's disgusting, I can't believe you did that, you know. And he started like, you know, pounding on the door. And then at that time, I'm like, you know what, you need to calm down. Like, I was like screaming at him. Like, I was not even looking at him at that point, because his eyes were like black. Like, his eyes were like, I don't even know who this person was, you know? And it was just really bad witnessing that. After that, like, again, moving out forward, fast forwarding it to the day before I kicked him out. That day, I got home and I was like, enough is enough. That's when my friend Alexis had told me, you know what, you need to act now. So I grabbed all his stuff and I put it outside. He got home like at 11, as he always tends. He wanted to come in, and I said, no. Go back with your hoe. And that's what I said. Go back with your hoe where you were, because I'm done. He's like, no, this is my home. I paid rent here. I don't care. You're done. I told him, you are done. Like, you need God. You need Jesus. Go back with your hoe and leave me alone. Like, he was over here trying to sleep with me still, you know, humiliate me. It wasn't fair for me. Like, enough was enough. God was speaking to me, telling me, I'll be there with you. You know, I'll get you through this. Because I was scared, like, how am I going to pay the rent? It's really expensive here. Like, now I'm by myself. Like, he left me, you know. He left me for another girl. Like, really? Like, and I was like, no, it's enough, it's enough. And I had never done that, never. And I called the cops. He said he thought I was bluffing, and I called the cops, and I said, no, I called the cops. He's like, no, you're bluffing, blah, blah. And I'm like, leave. The cops get there, and they're looking for him. He leaves. I don't know where he went. The cops are looking for him. He probably went to go talk to his hoe, as usual, to the girl. Sorry for calling her a hoe. But I was so mad at that time that I just kept calling her that, you know. But it was just horrible for me to witness that. And yeah, the cops came. They finally saw him. They found him after like him being gone for like 15 minutes. They saw him, and then they just like took him. They took him, and that was it. The cops told me, you know what, just go back in there, stay there, and you're good, you know. I was good. I had gone out with my friends the next day. I was good. I was like, you know what? That's it. I'm done with that story. I'm putting my past behind it. I'm going to have a good time. I deserve it. I already had gone through this divorce thing before. So, and I was just like, you know what? I need to move on. So I did that. I started going out with my friends, my family. I started exploring. I started I'm still traveling right now. And a couple days after, 5 days after went by, and I noticed my place was like weird. There was a picture of me and him in the bed, in the middle of the bed, and then he had trashed my whole, like, where my makeup station's at. And he had stole some of my presents that my friends had given me. He had trashed everything. He stole some of my makeup. The piteous things, and maybe you guys are gonna laugh because every time I say this, everybody laughs. He drained both of my milks that were in my fridge. I had barely got them because I do the whole meal replacement. So I do the whole Herbalife thing, the shakes. So he threw all my milk. And I was like, wow, really? The pittiness. I cried a little bit because I was like, really? Like, I had barely, like, you know, when you're trying to make it and you're trying to buy groceries and you're like, everything's expensive, especially that milk was like almost $4. And 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 for him just to throw it, I got kind of teary. Like, really, God? Like, this is what he does to me? Like, what did I do to deserve this? Like, what did I do to him for him to treat me this way, for him to spit at me? Like, I was still shocked. Like, really, God? Like, this is what I have to go through again? Like, now I'm stuck with this rent. Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to pay this rent? You know? So I had to trust in him. And after that, I filed for a restraining order because, you know, he was coming in and out and he still had keys. So I had to take him off the lease. And I took him off the lease. I was able to take out a loan. Thank God. I don't know. It came out of nowhere. My sister just told me out of the blue, you should just try it. And if you I got qualified, everything. Like, everything was like, oh, you've been approved. Like, it was like everywhere I would go, oh, you've been approved. You've been approved. I'm like, oh my God, thank God. Like, thank you, you know? So with that money, I was able to pay my bills. I was able to pay the divorce because I had to respond towards the divorce. And it was horrible because he didn't pay because of the, you know, the whole COVID. But since I was still working, I had to pay. So, you know, I wasted maybe like $1,300 altogether with the whole divorce. So, you know, it's still kind of like I'm still struggling a little bit, but God is making a way. And so he did that. I did the restraining order, so I didn't hear from him at all. And when I did the restraining order, I was like, wow, like, I feel free. Like, he can't get near me. He can't do anything to me. He can no longer reach out to me because he always tried to reach out to me to manipulate me, to try to get back with him, or, you know, try to find a way to manipulate me. And I'm like, nope, nope, nope. This time around, no. So he really got mad that I kicked him out. His mom had told me, like, oh, he was so pissed. And I'm like, well, I guess I can see that because he broke in a couple days after and trashed my place, right? So after that, you know, we had a court date in September 4th. Now that day, that's when my eyes and his true colors came out. And I was like, wow, he's not a man. He lied about it. He lied and said that I was drunk that day of Easter, that because I had told the judge that I was worshiping, that he came and that he got violent with me and that he told me all those things, that he spit at my face, that he choked me. He said that was a lie. He said that I was drunk, intoxicated. And then they asked him, well, who bought the bottle, right? Who bought the bottle of Jack Daniels? And he's like, oh, I did. And the judge's like, okay. And what were you doing, sir? And then he goes, oh, I was in the living room crying. He goes, really? You were crying? Like, tears were coming out? Like, I felt like the judge didn't even believe him, you know, because his story didn't match up. Like, he had, like, that body language, you know? And they were staring at him like, huh, like, it doesn't add up. Like, it doesn't sound right. Like, a guy's gonna be crying in the living room while I'm intoxicated? Who does that, you know? So they dismissed the case because that time I didn't call the cops, which I should have. That would have been more in my favor. So that's the only reason why they didn't continue with the restraining order. But this restraining order was for a good, like, 2 months. So I guess it worked, you know? So they removed it. Once they removed it, he reached out to me that he had mail here, and I had told him, you know what, you need to change your mailing address because this is getting very out of hand where I don't want to keep seeing you and giving you your mail. So I was nice enough to give him his mail, even there. Like, even me, I was being too nice. So yeah, he said, he came to me and told me, like, you know what, I started going out with this, I'm dating this girl, I need to talk to you, but I'm dating this girl, but I dated her after, like, when you kicked me out. I'm like, no, you didn't. I'm like, your little lies aren't gonna work with me anymore, you know? Like, he's like, you know what, like, I don't even like this girl, like, I'm just with her because, I guess, because, like you said, I can never be alone, you know? I can never be alone. And he was I mean, he always does that, you know. He always bounces from women. He has it since the moment me and him have been together. He has never been alone. He always has a girl, like 2, 3 girls there lined up, or he has this other girl. Like the girl that he's with right now, he probably has another one talking to, but the girl doesn't want to accept that he's a cheater, you know, even though she knows and she knew all the things that he would do to me, to his own wife, and she still wanted to be with him. You get me? So that just tells you about a girl that she's also desperate to be with someone, you know, even if it takes for her to, oh, well, he's a married man, you know, like, okay, so that happened. And so he went with that girl, whatever. He wanted to be, he's like, I want to be friends with you. I want to be there with you. You know, you're still my wife, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I didn't have nothing to say. I was like, I have nothing to say. You committed adultery. You left me for someone else. Like, you lied in court. You did all this. Like, why? Why you still want to come back? You know? So he knew that I was done. And then that was it. And then he kept contacting me here and there, like, to meet up for the divorce, the paperwork, and whatever. And one time he told me, I love you. And I'm like, okay. Like, I didn't believe him. Long story short, I received a message after that, and it was a girl. She had contacted me because she wanted to let me know that they were broken up, that he had broken up with her because of this guy, and she was calling me like if I'm gonna do something about it, you know. She's like, I'm sorry, I knew that he was married, I know it's my karma, I should have known, blah 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 blah. And then I'm like, okay, but you knew that he was married. And she told me, you know what, we started dating since March. So since March of this year, when we were opening the shop, he was already messing around with her. And at the same time, he was messing with her, and he was with me in the bed. Like, that is just disgusting. Like, I felt so disgusted when she told me that. Like, wow. Like, and I thank God, because again, thank you, Lord, because you opened my eyes. You opened my eyes to see what type of man I got married with, you know? Like, a man that was not a man, apparently. He was not a man of God, you know? And it was so hard for me to continue being in that lie. So after that, like, I was dumb. I am going to say I was dumb, because I decided to go to her house. I don't know why. And he got there, and it was a drama. Like, she called the cops on him. She's like, I'm done. He's doing this. And she told me so many things, like, oh yeah, he trashed your place, and he took the makeup, he threw it in the trash, and you need to watch out, because there's been a couple of times that he's been going to your house and he wants to break in to see if you have like this check from him, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, really? Like, and I told him, it better be the last time that you try to come in my house, because the moment you come here, the cops are gonna be here, you know. So she started telling me that he wants to go back into drugs, that he wants to sell drugs, and she knows all these things. And I'm like, she knows the life of, like, even her. She's like, oh yeah, and I know his stepdad, he does this and he does that, and I know everything that he did with his stepdad and his mom and everything. And I'm like, wow, this girl knows everything that he tried to do, and yet she still wants to be with him. I was like, shame on you. I told her, you're dumb if you stay with him. You know, you're dumb. Because take it as me, that I lived with him 6 years. And you're literally on phase 1, girl. And she's like, yeah, I'm done being with him. He hits himself. He's trying to sell drugs. I found him a little bag of, like, cocaine and blah, blah, blah. And he does this. And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I went through that with you already. I went through with him already. So that you have more to go, you know. And she was like, oh no, you know, I'm done, blah blah blah. He was doing you and he was doing me at the same time, and she was just going out, like, she was just literally telling me everything, like, oh yeah, he lied in court. And I'm like, okay, girl, so if you know all of this, why do you want to be with him? Oh, it's because he said he was gonna propose. He had said that he was gonna propose. Apparently, I guess he proposed to her. I don't know if it's true or not. Probably it is. I don't know. But I just laugh. Honestly, I just laugh like, oh Lord, thank you, because you saved me from that marriage, and they're both gonna pay what's coming for them. Because remember, God always fights for his children. Whatever situation you're going through, whatever in your marriage or anything like that, it's okay. Run, because you don't need to be in that mix. God is trying to tell you something. So to all the women that are married and you guys are going through something, it's okay. It's okay. God is there. He hears your prayers. He's with you, you know, through it all. And when I found out that he proposed to that girl and she told me, I was just like, I don't care. I thought I would. I thought that I would be like, oh my God, like he's over here proposing to another girl. He barely knows her for like 6 months. And it's like, he barely knows her for like 6 months and then he's already wanting to propose. That just tells you that he's very like urgent about something. Like he wants to get this girl. He wants something from this girl. Based on my experience with how the moments that I've been with him, he wants something from her. And because, and then also when we closed the shop. After that, when I found out like that he closed, I was like, I wasn't happy and I wasn't sad. I was just like, you asked for this, you know, like karma came around because you focused so much on the shop and he lost everything. He had to pay a $5,000 to close for us to get our name, you know, off the lease, for us not to get sued. Because at that point I was gonna sue him if he was not gonna pay, because that was my credit on the line and we were not together anymore. Like he had already moved, you know. So the girl also said that she lent him the money for the shop, you know, which is retarded. Like, who does that? Like, if you don't know the guy and you know that he's going through a marriage, why be in that drama? But I guess she's the same. She likes attention. She wants to be in that mix. Then let her go through what I went through and maybe 10 times worse. Because again, he's a guy that is not happy with himself. He's not happy with himself. He can't find himself. He needs someone to be there. He needs attention, you know? And it's sad. It's sad that you need so much attention that you need to hurt women, you know? And I'm good. Like, thank God I'm good. Yes, talking about it right now, it reminds me of the stuff that I went through with him, you know, being like kind of like without a home for a while, you know. I was always hopping back and forth, you know, moving, selling my stuff because of him, because he would always leave me all the time. And it wasn't fair for me. It wasn't fair for me. All the things, all the years that I gave this man, and for what? For him to just to cheat over and over. But a part of it was my fault because I allowed it. I forgave him, and I've always been so forgiving, and I think that's my mistake, that I always tend to forgive, and I need to I need to put it in myself like, okay, it's okay to forgive, but don't forget, you know, or it's okay to forgive, but you don't have to be with him. That's something that I didn't understand. Because he was my husband, I wanted to try it with him, you know. But my advice to all the women out there is trust in God, trust in your instinct, trust his timing, and trust his plans, not yours. If you're making a plan, always consult it with the Father. Always pray about it and say, you know what, Father, is this from you? Is this from you? Is this good? Please let me know, you know. And God always spoke to me in Jeremiah 29:11, as I mentioned earlier. And for I know the plans I have for you, you know, plans to prosper you, to give you hope in the future. And it still speaks to me through that, you know. And he still tells me, like, you know what, I'm going to give you a good husband, but just wait on me. Just wait. He will also tell me, if you will see the things I have planned for you, the joy that's coming can compare to it's in Romans 8:18, I think. It can't compare to the joy that's coming. The pain that you're going through cannot compare to the joy that's coming. So yeah, that's my story. That's, I mean, he was violent. He was very verbally violent. abusive. You know, the only thing that he tried to do was when he choked me. That was the only thing that he did, that he choked me, and that he kind of like hit me and did that bruise. But that was when I did the restraining order after that. And when he spit on my face, you know, when he spit on my face, it was horrible to see that, because no woman should experience that. No woman should go through that. And I know there's a lot of women out there that probably go through worse, you know, that the man actually beats her like more, you know. But why was I gonna stay until that happened to me, to the point where he was gonna hit me? Because he wanted to, and he told me, he apologized to me. He said, you know what, the bad thing about it is that I really wanted to hit you. He's like, I really wanted to hit you. I was this close, but something stopped me. He's like, I think God stopped me. And I'm like, God is with me. I'm like, God is with me 100%. Like, there's been so many things that people have wanted to do to me, and for whatever reason, they don't do it, because they say like, oh, I don't know why, I just stopped. I couldn't. I'm like, it's God. Why? Because I always consult God. You know, I always try to pray about it before I do anything. And my lesson now is wait on him. I have a lot of blessings coming. I also wanted, you know, a family. I was trying to get pregnant by my husband multiple times, and I couldn't. There was times where I thought that I was pregnant, but he was still with that girl, you know, the girl that he's with now, and he didn't care. Like, I had told him, like, hey, you know, I might be pregnant, you know, like, I'm gonna take a test. And he was like, oh, okay. And like, it didn't really show that he cared. And he still left. Like, he still left, and I had the results a couple of days after. I was gonna get the results a couple of days after, but he still left. Like, he still left. He still, instead of him saying, hey, you know what, like, I'm gonna try to work it out with my wife, you know, I did the thing that I was doing, or I was with that girl, whatever. He could have come clean, but he didn't. So yeah, so I just decided to act up and focus on me. And right now, I'm just trying to do my testimony and tell my story to other women and even men, because I know men out there that do get cheated on as well. And it's just very hard. It's very hard to go through this. And, you know, marriage is hard, but if you guys work it out and you guys have that mutual wanting to both of you change, then it's gonna work. But when it's not from God, you tend to find so many red flags, you know. You tend to find like you just feel like the person doesn't change, you know. You feel like, man, as much as I pray, or as much as I ask God, or as much as I fast, or I do this, or I do that, or I try to please him, he just doesn't want to change. He won't change, you know. And I understood that I couldn't change him. As much as I tried to do for 6 years, I couldn't, you know. So I had to like let it go. Let go and let God work. And if you let go finally, and you still see that God is made, because remember, this it's kind of confusing. God is gonna make the work, right? But he's not gonna make you change, if that makes sense. The person wants, because of your prayers and because of what you're doing, and you changing as well with your husband, has a lot to do. He could change, you know. But again, if he really wants to change, if he really says, you know what, in my heart I want to change, and he, like, there's this intimacy between him and God, he will. And God will do it. But God is not going to force anyone, you know. God doesn't force anyone. He just lets you, hey, you know, I'm here, you need my help, I'm here, and I'm going to do it. And you already know that God is going to do it. He's going to come through in whatever situation you're going through. He's going to do it, you know. So I just want to encourage you, all you women and men, that if you guys are going through whatever it is, even if it's not even a marriage thing that you're going through, maybe it's financially, or maybe it's, you know, you have one of your family members, or you guys are going through the whole COVID, you cannot live in fear. Regardless of this whole COVID, regardless of anything, like, God is in control regardless of this whole pandemic. Like, this is nothing compared to what's coming. So this is not even near for what's coming. So this is not even like a prep, you get me? Like this is just like a marinated thing, you could say. But this is hard for me to go through, and it took me 6 years or maybe a year to tell my testimony. I was even telling, you know, my husband that I wanted to do the testimony. He was willing to do it with me because, you know, he was the adulterer and I was the wife that, you know, that was praying, and he wanted to do that. He wanted to do, but it's just, he just went back to the same thing. He went back to cheating. He went back. He has not changed. I thought he changed, but he didn't. He went back to the cheating. He went back to the drugs, and yeah, you know what? If he thinks his life's gonna get turned around by getting married with this girl, or maybe even proposing to her, or maybe like whatever it is that he thinks in his plan, it's not gonna work. Because when you try to rush something, and because he did committed adultery, it's not gonna work. You know, it's not gonna work. There's always gonna be there something. Why? Because that relationship that they're both in, and even she can think like, oh, okay, you know, I give him another chance, you know, woo, like I have butterflies, he's this, he's that. No, just wait and see. Because if they already had that little drama, best believe there's going to be more of it. But he's going to play the victim. He's going to play that part. He tends to always do that. He tends to always play the victim part. And I already know, because again, I was with him for 6 years. So all I could do is just pray for them and let God do the work. Because best believe, when you're a child of God and they see that they do the unfairness to you, and you let that justice be to God, God is going to act. His justice is better than any other justice, even if you try to do the justice. I try to do the justice so many times. I'm going to go and pop his tire, or, you know, something. Sometimes like women, you know, we think like that. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do nothing. Why? Because if I do it, he's going to be like, oh, she cares. Or she's hurt. Or she's tardida, you know. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do nothing. I'm going to sit back, enjoy the show that they're both giving me, eat my popcorn, and read my Bible, and pray. That's what I'm going to do, you know. Because God is going to make justice. So when I went to the court, and I was by myself, he had a lawyer, I felt like it's okay. God is going to make justice. Shortly after that, a couple, 2 weeks went by, or a week went by. Boom, he loses a shop. He loses this. He loses that. He's still with his mom. He's still living with his mom. He's still going back and forth. And the only thing that I would say that I got really kind of hurt was his mom, because we both had a really good relationship, and obviously his sister, but they just stopped talking to me. I don't know what he told them, because again, he tends to lie and manipulate the truth with lies. And I heard that he was saying that I wanted to take away the shop, and I'm like, what shop? Like, I don't want nothing from you. I just wanted my name off the lease. That was it, you know. But I didn't want nothing. I didn't even ask him for money. Like, I could have asked him for spouse support, and I didn't even want that. For what? So he can say that I'm taking away his money and that I'm doing this and I'm doing that. He tends to talk about everyone, even his own family. Like, he would talk so much about his family, and he would manipulate the situation, and I'll be like, why don't your family don't like you? Or why don't you like your family? Like, let's go with your family. You know, they're inviting us. Let's be more with your cousins. Let's go out with them. He didn't want to. He was just so like miserable. Like, he didn't want to be. So it was just really hard for me, you know. And all I can say is that God is with me, that God is going to make a way regardless. And for those that, this is my testimony, this is my story. If you guys have any questions, or any prayers, requests, or anything like that, you can go ahead and message me. You can go ahead and like this video and share it. I will be posting it also in my YouTube channel as well. I'm going to be doing worship songs, and this is all for the glory of God. I've been prolonging it. I don't know why. I've just been kind of scared, you know, like, oh, I don't know how to do this, you know. It's my first time doing this, but hey, you know what? I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for the Lord, for his glory, for people. Even if it just speaks to one person, it doesn't matter, because it's going to save that person, you know, into you know, saving their marriage maybe, or maybe she's been, or maybe she or him have been praying to God and asking him, hey, give me a sign, and this is your sign. Hey, you know what? Just kneel on the Father, ask him what you want, and he'll deliver it. He'll deliver it. But this I will tell you, you need to be patient and trust his timing. Time, one of my friends, Diane, she did tell me this. She goes, time is gonna be your best friend. Time and heal. She's like, just heal, time, God is with you. He will deliver the perfect man. Don't look for it. It will come to you. And I'm already starting to see that. Like, I'm already starting to see, like, oh, wow, God is blessing me. Like, I've been to places that I never thought I would go to. I've been traveling. I have a couple, you know, I have a couple trips that I'll be doing next year, God willing. You know, I think I have like one going to New York, and I'll be going to Atlanta, and I'll be going to Aguascalientes, or no, Guanajuato probably next year too. So I have a lot of things lined up already that God is like, you want to travel? Here you go. You can do it now. While I'm healing you, and while I fix the situation with your husband, because we're still married. You know, we are still married, and he's probably out there, you know, posting that he's good with that girl, or why not? I don't know. I don't follow him. I don't see none of his stuff. But based on how some of my friends tell me, or they see him or whatever, I'm like, you know what? I don't care. You know, because God is gonna take care of it. But he's just trying to have that image that it's not. You know, so that's my testimony. If you guys again have questions, you guys can message me, and this is all for the glory to God. And I thank God for my testimony. I thank God for everything that I went through. It's hard. It is hard, you know, me remembering right now everything that I went through. I was like, wow, it's tough. I can't believe I went through that, you know. But I know that God has a purpose for me, and I know that God is gonna help me to get to my plans, and it's gonna guide me. And I finally understood, and I finally let God do his plan, his ways, not my way, his ways. So I'm trusting in the Father, and I cannot wait until he delivers my husband. I don't know why I have that feeling that I'll probably meet him wherever he is right now. You know, I'll probably meet him within next year, maybe. I don't know why I get that feeling, but I know that he made me stronger. He made me wiser. He made me more of a godly woman, and he wants me to speak to women that it's okay. It's okay to get a divorce, because before I was so embarrassed, like, oh my God, I'm getting divorced, or I was embarrassed to say that my husband cheated, or I was embarrassed right now that, hey, I'm married and my husband is with someone else and he's still married to me, you know? But it doesn't matter. Like, again, I have faith in God that he will make a way regardless. And just thank you so much for all of you guys that tuned up and watched this video. It's a long video. It's a long testimony, and I try to be transparent as I can. I try to narrate it down, but it's so hard, like when you have so much to say, you know. And then I just kind of let the Holy Spirit take over and just let it out, you know, let it out. So thank you so much for all you guys that were tuning up. God bless you. Pray, stay committed to the Lord. He will bless you. Whatever it is that you're going through, have faith. He will come through. You are important to him. He's watching over your family. This whole COVID thing, don't be afraid. Don't have fear. Because fear and doubt, that comes from the devil. But when you don't have fear, you need to let the devil, hey, I'm a child of God. I serve the Lord. You cannot be in my home, you know. In the name of Jesus, I rebuke you. And I serve the Lord. He will leave. He will live. He will leave. Why? Because he's scared. You know, Jesus already defeated him in the cross. So stay committed. Blessings to all of you guys. Thank you so much for all the comments that you guys are telling me. Thank you. The Lord be blessing you guys for this testimony, and share it. And I think I'm gonna be doing another one, but in Spanish, because I know that I have a lot of people too that speak Spanish only, so probably I'll prepare for that one later. But God bless you guys. Remember that God is in control of this world. Let's pray for the world, because we all need prayer. Let's be positive, and let's continue to fight for all this, and Do not give up. Be blessed in Jesus' name. Never give up, guys. So be blessed. Thank you so much for all your support, for being there for me, for all my friends, my family. Thank you. God bless you and love you guys, and be blessed. Bye.